Hi, sir. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Yes, absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for having me today on this podcast. Meeting you after our session with the students, I think it's a real privilege to be here and an honor to be sitting here in front of you today.
Thank you so much, sir. Let me share the purpose of this podcast, Let's Talk series. So, Let's Talk series brings a lot of the eminent people and the people, those who really creates value for the community and the society, into their own respective domain. They are doing a job which is really a differentiating factor, especially for the industry and the entire community. I really, sir, inspired the work which you are doing. And I remember I met you in Chitkara University in the healthcare summit there. And from that day, I was just thinking that when the day will come, that I will invite you to this Let's Talk show, and we will discuss more about your journey, sir.
Yes, thank you so much. As I said, absolutely a pleasure to be here today, and I'm all yours. So whatever you want to ask, I'll be happy to share with you.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, my first question is share about your journey, sir.
Okay, I come from a very small village in Jammu Kashmir. This village is many of you who have heard about Gulmarg. It's deep inside. You go from Srinagar and this small village. And I remember till 19 almost 89 90, we did not have electricity, water in the village, and so we used to get go down the mountain, fill up spring water, bring it up to our house. There was no electricity. We used to go and collect. I mean, all of us used to collect, and the villagers used to collect wood from the forest and bring it and light it. So that was a kind of scenario which I basically belong. It is a beautiful village, very close to Gulmarg, but completely cut off from the land, other parts of the country. And I also remember every year doing this trip from Jammu to Srinagar on this Jammu Kashmir State Road Transport bus, which was a very rickety, bus. It was a 12 hours journey from Jammu. We used to start in the morning at 6 o'clock and land up evening 6 o'clock in Srinagar, stay there for the night, and next day morning go to Baramulla and then take a bus from Baramulla and then go by walk almost, I think, 4 hours. I remember walking to my village. So, anyway, but what I'm trying to tell you that is because the background was a background where, even to reach my village, it used to take a lot of hard work. And you can imagine when it used to snow, all the roads get blocked, and it used to be even doubly more difficult to reach there. Any which way, so that was the kind of place that I come from, and after my schooling, I took this written exam of UPSC, and slightly before that, just before the militancy had just started in Jammu Kashmir that time, and I'd almost got through in medical college, but God had some other plans, and took this entrance exam in UPSC, and my merit was very good. So I joined the National Defence Academy in 1987. In the Navy was a service. As you know, NDA trains officers for all three cadres: Army, Navy, Air Force. And Navy has the smallest number of seats per, whenever the exams take place. We just had 30 seats those days. And it was a great honor to be selected for NDA. And then, of course, the NDA training started, and we did not know what hit us. It's a very tough training for 3 years. They are trying to make you a man from a boy. And so those 3 years flew, and thereafter there is one more year of a special training for Navy. And 1991, I was commissioned into the Indian Navy, into the executive branch. The executive branch is the branch which goes to command ships and submarines, and they are in command position. I mean, that's what they're trained for. Anyway, this journey was beautiful, and it went on till 2014. And in 2014, I was posted in the naval headquarters. I was looking after the Navy's budget for, almost. I had done my master's in finance in Edinburgh Business School, Scotland. For a part of my course, I had gone there, and I learned from some great, teachers, Nobel laureates in economics. And so the finance background also was made. And so Navy, after doing my course, they sent me to handle Navy's budget. I did it from 2012 to 14, where I sort of decided that I needed to now move out of what I was doing, not for any other reason. I was loving what I was doing. Indian Navy was a great place to be in, but I also thought that I should do something else in my life, because when you're in the Navy, in the armed forces, you're secured, you are protected against the normal civil life. I wanted to push myself into a little out of my comfort zone, because 24 years in the Navy and all that. So I quit Navy in August 2014. But importantly, and I had got feelers that somebody wanted me to come and take over a hospital and head that hospital, uh, uh, and I was zero in healthcare. I did not know cardiology from cardiac surgery, the difference. But what I started doing was that, every day evening after my work, 5:30, 6 o'clock, I used to be in white uniform, and I used to come in my car with a suit. I used to park my car in the embassy area in Delhi. I used to change from uniform into the suit and go to the hospital. I used to reach this hospital at 6 o'clock in the evening, somewhere there. And every day for 2 hours, I would sit with front office staff, emergency, go into various departments, look into how the hospital used to work. And this was just on my own interest, and every day in the hospital, I got myself trained from the ground up, because I knew, let us say 8 months later, I'm going to head this hospital and I would not know at all, zero. So it was extreme hard work for that 8 months. And then the healthcare journey started, in the Rockland Hospital. I was the unit director of that hospital. And then after that, we had 3 hospitals which I looked after 1.5 years. So I'll stop here. This is just the initial part of the journey, which I thought I will tell you. And as we move along, whatever else you want me to tell about how things panned out later, I'm going to say. But this is exactly what happened. So what I just wanted to tell was that it was not necessary for me to be, because, leadership roles, motivation roles, roles where you lead teams, you can develop those skills very, very specific to that domain if you do it. Because as I told you, I was zero in healthcare, but the basic tenets of leadership, the basic, those principles of leadership, how you deal with men, material, how you motivate people to do better. I think they have a different path to learn, and they are difficult to imbibe and learn, rather than in comparison with the skills that you need to learn for a specific domain. So that is a point that I want to bring in. But yes, you need extreme hard work. This fallacy of doing smart work at the initial part of your professional life, I think it's a myth. When you're starting a profession or you're starting to learn something, I think you have to do extreme hard work. That's what I thought, what I did. Thank you.
Wonderful, sir. Sir, I saw, a lot of things in you and to learn, especially I have learned, a few things. How someone can be so vulnerable, how someone can be so disciplined into everything, the approach. It's not about, it is saying that anything you do or everything you do or whatever you do, things reflects. Right, so that discipline is still there in your talk, the way you speak, the way you behave with the people. How do you see, sir, then for our audience, just help us in understanding of the discipline in the life.
Yes. See, so as far as discipline is concerned, I think the most important facet about discipline, and this comes after so many years of being put through different circumstances, I will quantify that, is so the most important facet of discipline is self-discipline. And that is like if you look at the pyramid of discipline, from bottommost is, when you have a danda in your hand, you're trying to tell people what's to be done. But truly speaking, as you move from that phase upwards, I think self-discipline is something that is the most important one. But I will now move to from where I was in the NDA when we did this training, and even before that, when we were living at our homes, and how our families are. I mean, small things in your family, like when you get up in the morning, whether you make your bed or not. All right, I'm just giving a small example. Or
Yeah.
you in your house, there is a system in which if you are a child of the house, I mean, you do some part to help your mother or father in the household. I mean, I'm just giving some examples. Anyway, we moved from there to a very regimented training, in NDA and then thereafter Navy, where discipline is imbibed, inculcated. So either you are self-disciplined. If you're not self-disciplined, they'll make sure that you are disciplined, because everything is time. So you have to be at time at so and so place. You have to do it like this. You have to do exactly, everything is written down. Everything is drilled into your mind. Everything is very, very compartmentalized. And so the discipline it is all around you, and it is also quite imposed on what you're doing, because you cannot do otherwise. Especially, when you move into operations where you put your life at stake, and also your actions will result in somebody else's life in stake. So everything moves in a very, very clear form that what you're supposed to be doing in extreme discipline. But when you move from this kind of life into the civil society, and I moved from this kind of life into the healthcare domain, where you have, on one end, you have got extremely intelligent doctors. Doctors have got, I mean, I think they're one of the topmost in the IQ levels in our society. I mean, they are extremely intelligent. They are, and you need to deal with them. You're also dealing with, your housekeeping staff on the other side of the domain. And know which way what you have learned in your life about discipline, which is the strict form of discipline, that you do this, you cannot do this, or you have to do this. It does not work at all. So to mold yourself into that kind of a discipline, where more you are, first of all, have to be self-disciplined. Second, you are very subtly setting examples by not telling, but by your behavior. So if you start telling people, do this way, do that way, then they will say, no, this guy has gone crazy. After coming from army, he is thinking this is army rule, and nobody would have wanted to do exactly what you do. No doctor is going to listen to you. So what I realized deep inside was 2-3 important things. One, that myself, I have to be extremely self-disciplined, because if I'm not self-disciplined, that anyway, it's a lost battle. The second thing is not to tell people about being disciplined, but let them observe, let them see the way I am behaving, let them see what brings better results if they behave that way. I'm talking about the non-doctor staff. And so that is an example you're setting. Automatically, people start imbibing. It is, as they say, kharbuje ko dekh ke kharbuja rang badalta hai. So when you are self-disciplined yourself, you start doing things in a proper way. You are ethical, you are transparent. Automatically, you see the system starts responding to you, although you're not telling them something. Because the moment you start telling them, forcing them, you're finished. Then the doctors. Now the doctors also observe this happening. They see that once this guy is self-disciplined, the entire team is also now following that self-inculcated discipline. The hospital is running in a better way. People are coming on time. Patients are not waiting. The OT is starting on time. The implants are coming on time. The stores are functioning correctly. The billing is happening. The discharge is happening on time. Patients don't have to, run from pillar to post. And they also start seeing the value of this kind of a discipline. So the highest level of intelligence in a hospital is that of doctors. They also start looking at the benefits, and they start seeing how beneficial it is to be internally disciplined. And then the entire system becomes internal discipline. And when the entire system becomes internal discipline, you start seeing magic happen. Because number one, nobody's there to look over your back all the time telling you to do something. It is you yourself. And when you yourself are disciplined, the entire system is disciplined. You see that the patient satisfaction levels start going up. You see the errors in the hospital start coming down. You see people in the society start thinking of this hospital as a very, very, good hospital. And automatically it results in many more things, like more patient, more footfall, more revenue. It automatically happens. So the value of discipline is immense. it cannot be said that you came from a system which was a very disciplined system and here it doesn't work that way. That's a big misnomer. Discipline is the bedrock, the I would say the quintessential quality of an organization. But yes, the form of discipline changes from being forced upon you into setting up examples in such a way that the organization becomes self-disciplined. And as I said, once the organization becomes self-disciplined, you see magic happening in that organization.
Wonderful. Would you like to share some of the resources, especially for our audience, especially the young leaders, upcoming leaders, aspiring leaders?
Yes. So I, I would say that this habit has developed, I think since childhood, when our teachers and all, in addition to the books that we used to read, they used to also tell us to read comics. They used to tell us to read novels because they knew that every time when you're going to tell the student, please go ahead and read your own book. I mean, it does not, sort of. So children are also interested in exploring other things. So I remember, that I used to read Alistair MacLean a lot. I'm talking about 1987, 89. I've read almost all his books. Then we used to read books. There was a book I remember was called Physics for Entertainment by a guy called, I still remember the author's name, Ya Perelman. The book was beautiful book, volume 1 and 2. We read that book. We used to read this Britannia, encyclopedia. I mean, just pick up and read that. Not only the books, what I started also reading, I mean, once that habit developed, I used to read everything. I mean, a paper lying on the road, if I don't have anything to read, I will read that also. I will read everything possible. Then you start reading newspaper, you start listening to things. All these things happen together, and they've got immense value. It's not that just one point that you pick up a book and you think that you're going to gain a great amount of that book. The habit of reading, the habit of just reading anything which interests you is great. It could be a hobby that you have and you just want to read something on it. So there are n number of books that could be read, but the book that I'm reading now is a book called CEO Excellence. This was written by senior partners at McKinsey and Company by Carolyn Dever, Scott Keller, and Vikram Malhotra. It basically tells the 6 mindsets which sets apart outstanding CEOs from other. I'm just giving you one book that I'm currently reading, and besides this, there are beautiful books that you should read. There are books. I keep telling, Let's Break All the Rules is one book. Execution is another book that a lot of youngsters should read. These are 2-3 good books, and I would recommend that even if you read Pride and Prejudice, or you go and read, Ice Station Zebra by Alistair MacLean. I think all these books have got a great value. You don't have to always read books which are, like, good management, you are okay, I am okay kind of books. Even reading good novels. I remember reading a novel by Joseph Heller called Catch 22. I mean, one of the most beautiful satires or humors you can ever read. I mean, these books are fabulous. You just read. And during our school days, there used to be a book called, there used to be an author called Ayn Rand. And I remember reading Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. And there was a character called Howard Roark in that book. He's an architect. And I remember everybody during my time, thinking that he is a Howard Roark, because the character was portrayed in such a beautiful manner, that it is. But yes, reading, it could be anything, starting with comics to, and nowadays you also have these audible books, so if you don't want to all the time be on the screen, you want to rest your eyes, you could just go to this. Audible is a very good source of books. You could just close your eyes, put headphones in flights or wherever you want to do, and you can read these great books, which and every book is a treasure trove. You may not take everything from the book, but there is something that you can take from the book, whichever book that you're reading.
Wonderful. So it is said that the reader lives 100 lives, a non-reader lives only once. So it's better to learn from the amazing and wonderful people around us, those who are writing their entire biographies and like this. So I think, sir, what I feel personally, that your life is very short. You won't be able to get everything, but whatever is possible things are there around, meet people, talk to the people. Now sources are available on the fingertip. As you said, there's the podcasts are available. This is also the Let's Talk is one of the podcasts where people will be able to learn so many things. Sir, now coming to our special the healthcare domain.